What's up, and welcome to the week three recap of SPL. I am joined here today by our two regulars at this point, season one legend and longtime journeyman of the pod, Ham, and the new blood, uh, Mr. Colin Purcell, the stat man. Um, Colin will be working dutifully to pull up some very interesting and very nuanced statistics that are sure to blow any of your minds. But unless anyone has some intro points, I think we're good to just hop straight into the games.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's do it. So it was as you can see here, it was a great week of predicting. Um, Going into this week, I don't have these statistics off, but I know off the top of my head that Colin and I were both, I believe, 9 for 12, and I think Hamilton was 8 for 12, and
Uh,
that did not hold true. Um, it was not a good week. Um, Hamilton, how are you feeling about predictive powers? Because we were doing a lot better than last season, but now it's not looking so good.
I mean, law of large numbers, man. It's got to come back around. But no, I felt like we had a really good grasp on it, and this week there was a lot of upsets, and that's a good thing. It's good for the league. It's good that some bottom teams are not going to be stuck at the bottom. Am I correct that a lot of these upsets were also in two, not three? Is that correct or no? Or
I
is
would
that
have
quite the
to
opposite?
let's see.
It might have been quite the
So I think
opposite.
it was three
We
and three.
had,
Okay.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
so. Most of the upsets were in three, though. I think the two that we picked, everyone but Austin picked correctly, were in two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our
So
perfect sweep though was a 2-0 upset.
let's go. Um, but I think that we still have the ability to have a read of what's going on, and make predictions. Like I know that Austin's prediction on mine and for that game was that I was gonna get a trade off, and I certainly tried, but that trade did not happen. Um, and um, that definitely didn't help me. I also think that some other teams just turned it around this week. Um, I think the map play really came into play on this week.
yeah, which we're still above 50%, which is still above randomness, and still last season I feel like you ended up ahead of like 33%. I think I was probably pretty close to that. I don't remember at all, but we're still doing okay. Colin, did that hurt your confidence in predicting at all?
I don't know if it definitely hurt my confidence a little bit, but the main thing it did was excite me about the league and that, we have that it like when I looked at that schedule last week, I was like, oh, this is easy. Every game has a clear winner. And the fact that it didn't, because I got 4 of 6 wrong, picking only favorites, means we have a little more parity in the league than I originally thought, and I love to see that.
Yep. And Ash agrees. But
As does agree.
let's go ahead and get into games. So all Jesus, all of these. So first game was the mighty Luigi versus the new look Fredchester United. A lot of people scratching heads at Freddie dropping Boo for Koopa just because based off just power rankings of the individual sidekicks. I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. But for his team, I actually don't think that it was the worst call. Um, Colin, what do you think of the Coop edition for this Fred team?
I do think it was time for Fred to make a change. He ended up dropping, but he dropped a Boo for the Koopa, which I think is fine. He has a Waluigi, who I guess is not a passer, but he still has a Toad and a Hammer on the team. Those are two passers. He did not need three passers because, to be honest, who are they passing to? No one on this team can really score. So, sorry, my cat assaulting something. I don't know what she's doing. I liked a little extra balance added to this team though, and it clearly worked as he got his first win of the season. I will say his Koopa is the lowest impact player in the league, but it's mostly skewed by the fact that he was playing defense and they did lose one game 9-1.
Yeah.
So,
and I think impact is no statistic is going to be perfect, but the fact that his team went from losing to winning says at least a little bit. And I think it is cool because I mean, just the overall format in season 2 is just way better, and we're kind of reaping the rewards of that. But just it shows that there is a time and place for balanced characters, where there really wasn't in season 1. Ham, do you have any pulse check on Reed's vibes with the mighty Luigi?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know that he's seen the game. But I think that he's gonna take away the high, not the low, if I had to predict, of the back-to-back weeks now, I think, of dropping 9 goals at Wastelands. Maybe 1 week in between. But it's I think he can take confidence in the fact that he is scoring some goals. So if I'm reading that correctly, he's had a 9-goal game, a
2
7.
9-goal games.
He got
No, I
beat
didn't
7
read
to
7
2.
2. Okay.
Yeah. But either
Yeah,
way,
he had
2
a
9-goal
9.
games on Wastelands.
Yeah,
Yes, 2 9-goal games on Wastelands.
is
And
something that
yeah.
you aren't going to be upset about. I mean, if I'm playing Reed, am I banning Wastelands? I'll let the other people decide because I don't actually play Reed this season. But I'm curious to know how many more times he's got to go to Wasteland before he breaks the season goal record.
Yeah.
He was on pace. He could have done it in the last seconds here. He also is collecting fantastic data for Garrett, which as someone who was in a data, I'm trying to think of the right word. It can't be like a mafia. What's the word for like when you collude markets? Oh, son of a gun! Neither of you guys took economics.
Insider trading.
Sure. Yeah, I've been a part of insider trading in terms of trading data and trading information, and he is feeding that to Garrett, and it was great, and I miss it deeply. But one thing I did really want to highlight in this game is this is the second time that this has happened, where God, well, let me go in slow mo. Where here we go. So we have a this is big stuff. If you're not on video right now, we have Waluigi pick up the ball, go for the teleport, and then end up above the net. This happened one time last season to my dry bones, and it was a fully charged ball from the top of the key. So I need our best minds trying to figure out how the heck he teleports above the net. But that personally was my favorite part of the series. Big win for Fred.
Was this the game that he teleported to the goal line, got tackled, and then kind of belly flopped onto the ball into the goal?
I believe so. I think that might have come in the win. I don't think that was this game, because I think this is the only goal
that is their only goal.
Yeah, the other 9 were all downhill momentum for the Mighty Luigi.
I'll save that stat for the tier list. I got a few stats here and there. I don't necessarily have one fun stat of the week. I've failed my job, but I've got a few minor fun stats. I'll sprinkle in
you
here and there.
You are fired. Huge win for Fred, potentially season saving, even though Spellcasters probably a little bit more open. But going into conference play at 1 and 2 in the Spellcasters, you have to be feeling pretty darn good. Next game was against what I wanted, a failed guarantee of Eric pulling off a win against me. Based off season form, I'd say that it was an upset. But based off season 1 expectations, I don't know how surprising this is. Colin, you're in the same conference with both of these teams. How scared are you of the? Wait, no, Eric is not in our conference. Hamilton,
No.
how scared are you of the Piranha?
I think petrified would be an understatement. I think that Peach will square up pretty nicely with the Piranha. And by that I mean Peach will pull the same number of shots and convert maybe one. Where I think PD had, I don't know the stat. I'll let Colin correct me, but it felt like it was 8 goals in 2 games. Um, it just felt like he was hitting everything for a large chunk of the game. Um, I am. I do not know if I will ever be able to compete with PD, and frankly, I don't know how many teams in our conference will be able to compete with PD. I think there are some. I don't think it's a wrap, but I just don't know how many will be able to fight him.
Yeah, I mean he tear gapped DK, who's having a generational season, and was single handedly willing my team into this series, especially in game two. I'll try and pull up the film, but like absolutely heroic stuff from DK. But I think you're right. I will say last season
He
as
with 7 goals, by the way, across the series, three
My
game
bad.
series.
My bad.
yeah, still, and I feel like those. I mean, those were concentrated. I think across mainly 2 games. And I
Four in game one.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can see, but I don't think pretty much any of them were mega strikes. He was just hitting it from open
None.
play, just letting
No
the
mega
noggin
strikes.
rip, which is a story that I know all too well. Um, but definitely scary. Gave me some data, and I have some changes that I want to make. I just had a trade proposed to me that I will not be putting much thought into, but it's nice to know that there are there are options out there. And when I played against Peach as the PD team last season, I tied, and it's set the record for the most goals in a single series, including I think a three goal mega strike from Peach. So Hamilton, you are in that game,
Oh
um,
yeah.
especially if Eric trolls his season, which is always a possibility.
He is known to make some questionable roster decisions.
Dude, just watch this play from DK. Look at the heart out here. Hits one, hits two, hits three, and
I will
then
say,
go ahead.
Stormship, Stormship. If you're playing against this team, which I am next week, Stormship looks like a place to possibly avoid against the big ZD. Um, I don't have like a ton of stats on this, but you are, I believe, 3-0 on the Stormship. Maybe yes. Wait, I can find this.
It is that is true. I can I can
Yes,
I can
3-0
I can
on
tell
the
you that.
Stormship.
It's great because he's a lightning theme captain. It's a lightning theme map. Um, Next game, I don't know if we'll really have too much to say for this other than what the hell. Adam versus Grant. Bowser Jr. with the double Birdo upset. um, making everyone question if what we thought was the best trade of the season already. Maybe double Birdo is the wave. Um, Hamilton, do you have any thoughts on your boo out there floundering?
Uh, I'm thinking about picking up another Boo in free agency, and I'm hoping he does better than the Boo did today. I think that I will say that I think Crystal Canyon did favor Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that the matchups that came out of that were to his advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but definitely a surprising result. Sad to see that my Boo was not still producing, but some days that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, and I think
One,
that Boo is definitely nerfed by being on the Canyon because that's just one less person for him to distribute to. What were we gonna say, Colin?
yes, I would agree that Boo is definitely nerfed. I was just gonna add that in the Birdo, what should have been 4 Birdos on the field ended up being 3 Birdos on the field. Grant's Birdos dropped 4, while Adams' singular Birdo only 1 goal.
And that's
And
that's
one
why
of
he's
them
on the
put in a skill,
pod.
and one of them put in a skill shot. The infamous Birdo seemingly unstoppable skill shot that we've seen maybe 2 or 3 times max.
I was gonna
Twice.
say in the highlights we were watching, Grant's team scored one skill shot, and then the shy guy got a skill shot assist. So I'm wondering, was it truly just the fact that there's so much time and room that maybe these sidekicks are pulling out skill shots more?
maybe that means this is an even better map to have Birdo go to, because the best skill shot in the game might be more likely to come out. Yeah, but the only sidekick I think we have seen 100% conversion rate to goals. Um, Pretty crazy. Uh, yeah, but not too much else to say there. Um, Next series was kind of painful. Dave versus Dan. Like Hamilton was talking about earlier, there are definitely some matchups that feel like a captain's tier diff. And watching Danny's team continue to just pull out these results is it's very disheartening. I will now ask you the question I thought I was going to ask you earlier, Colin, about how scared you are of PD. Instead, how scared of you are this Bowser team? Because that's the other side of the coin.
I'm scared of this Bowser team, but that's partly due to what my teams are. I do not think this Bowser team is going to run the table through the Mushroom Kingdom the way he did through the Spellcasters. It's a known fact. There's a conference diff. One of the conferences clearly just superior.
Spellcasters on top.
Yes, of course. And I'm looking at like Danny's goal differential for being, he's 6-0. He has a goal differential of 7, which means he's won 5 games by 1 goal and 1 game by 2 goals. Like those are not convincing wins in my mind. To have 5 1-goal games, that's there's room for error there. There's there's a chink in the armor. You can attack it, maybe. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be a way.
Top of the dome stat just by scanning the schedule. He also has played Daisy, Waluigi, and Peach. So
That's why we're at the bottom of the table. We've just played good people.
So thank you for that, Colin, for inspiring some hope, as I did just get not destroyed, but did lose to one of our captain carry teams. But I definitely think that inspires some hope, just because he won't be able to diff everyone. I think that Dave put up a valiant effort, and put some thought into map picks. Unfortunately, his Toad has slowed down. The number 1 scoring Toad, I don't think put it on the field today. But it's a tough ask.
I think what's actually interesting about Danny's team in terms of like impact scores, Bowser fairly low impact score, but he's got pretty high impact scores across the board from his team. Like very high scoring Hammer Bro. His Birdo is the best Birdo in the league. I would say they're winning, so it helps. But I don't know, it hasn't been as much of a hard carry team as you would think you'd see from a team like this, which is interesting.
I am curious, Hamilton. Do you think there is a discernible difference between Daisy and Peach, because they do have very different statistics and abilities?
I do.
You do think that Daisy is better?
I would agree that Daisy's better. I think that because they were both so bad last year, that people, including myself, didn't fully process that it was Peach and Diddy that have the same stats, not Peach and Daisy. And so I think that that's starting to show up this year. Like, I think that Dave has had some success, and I think Colin and I are going to struggle a little bit more. I think Colin's built his team a little bit better around what we've got. And I think Dave's built a really good team around Daisy. I think I missed my mark for what I wanted to do. So, we'll see how it all plays out. But I would say that Daisy, I think, is a tier above Peach.
And I think that it might come down also to a lot of off-ball stats, just the fact that she can slide so much further. And teleport has some, even though Daisy doesn't seem to score. Colin, I don't know while I'm talking if you can pull up goals per game for Daisy and Peach, but I'm gonna guess that it's pretty much the exact same.
Peach with 0.33, Daisy with 0.29.
Yeah, so pretty much
Which
the
are
same.
the 2 lowest. The next lowest captain is Diddy Kong at 1.14.
Diddy
So
is
like
scoring
0.8
three
more.
times the amount of goals.
Yes. He does also have 4 Mega Strike goals versus 1 for each of Daisy and Peach. That's the big difference there, but he still has, you know, I can do math. 5 more. No, that's not 3. 1 versus 4. 3 more in play goals.
I hope you know how incoherent that was to follow.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
Diddy did have an absolutely carry week, which we can use to segue into the next series. This one I think was one of the more
Series of
surprising
the week.
series of the week. I would give it that vote. And even just when you think about like the larger stakes, just Colin staying alive in the FFMK, like this was huge. But the did absolutely went off. Colin, vibes on the kid right now.
Oh, I was so hyped for this win. I went back and watched the replay. Just even though I watched it live, I had to relive it. The one thing that gives me some pause is we had a large amount of soft shots that kind of snuck their way past Critter. I don't know if we can count on that in the future, but the boys came through. I do think Jacob made a mistake in letting Wasteland sneak by, but it didn't even really matter egg-wise because I don't think we saw the egg in either of the last 2 games, which could be why I won both of those 2 games. But oh no, we did see an egg in game 3. It just broke instantly.
Yeah, we're gonna have to the final seconds of of game 3 is worth watching, which we'll have to I'll pull up even independent of the egg debacle. Um, but very costly loss for Jacob. I was pretty disappointed with his map selection because I thought he had learned his lesson. Don't know why he banned the dump. Um, but
Never once
but
wanted to go.
a go off, I guess. Him, where do you think Jacob falls in the larger picture for the spellcasters?
I think that Jacob has a good team. I just don't think he's paying enough attention to maps, kind of like you just hinted at. And so, like, I think that if he pays a little bit of attention, he can jump up and definitely make playoffs. I mean, he's sitting number 2 right now with the only positive goal differential. Not that that's a great number, but it's better than mine -7. Um, so I think that he could turn his season around with some good map picks and get it. So that way he's gonna be at the top of the table or close to it.
Yeah, I heard what you said, but my brain can't process. I don't know if you guys have been watching me try.
I don't know what's happening. How is he out of the? He breaks out of the egg instantly
Yeah,
before Monty gets there.
I will say, as one of the few people who has played Mario Strikers Charge for the Wii in this league, the button you press to use your power up as Yoshi, if you press it again, it ends the egg, so you have control over the duration. So I think the CPU just bugged, to be honest, because you can see like he pops out of the egg and then he hits his juke to move forward straight into getting dead. Absolutely sent to the hospital. He's still falling. He's on the ground when it goes back the other way.
And
And
then
then
the
a
tractor came
catastrophic
through
tractor.
into the airplane.
The tractor hits
Incredible sequence.
5 people. The only person who survives the tractor is Koopa. I guess there's 2 more people up the field. Maybe I don't know where they are.
They might already be off the map.
Yeah, you're right. So even if they hadn't conceded and the game had gone on, I think that Koopa, he might have done something. So
That facial expression by Hammer Bro there is very similar to the one I was making in that exact moment.
if I had made actual thumbnails for these videos, I would Photoshop Colin's face onto that right there, and then Colin backslid on his turtle shell. Audio listeners in
Electric moment.
absolute shambles right now. Um, But yeah, no, series of the week, absolutely insane finish. Um, but that takes us into our final game of the week. The
Here's the week.
series of the week, the lovers' quarrel, a tale as old as time. Mario v Peach. Hamilton, how are your vibes going into this game?
Um, I would have loved to have managed to snag a trade in the midweek. We didn't get it. And then I also submitted my roster late, which was tragic, and therefore did not get some map bans that I don't know if they would have benefited me at all. I still got the ban I was after, so in the end, all is fine. But this was one of the games that I actually thought I had a chance in, um, which is weird because I've been helping Reed build his team, and this is just the identical team. Um, and so to think I had a good chance against this one and get swept is a little tough. But we'll try and submit some more trades. Hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If anyone wants to take me up, I'm currently offering a Boo, a Peach, and a Dry Bones for your captain. That's all it is. 3 for 1. It's a good deal. But no, I think that we'll come back and we'll keep trying and we'll maybe sneak something out in the middle of the season. We'll
So
see.
let's think about what that offer is. A Boo, a Peach, and a Dry Bones for your captain.
Yeah.
So you would be left with a Birdo,
Yeah.
a different captain,
Yeah.
and then whatever the other person dumps.
Yeah.
That person would be left with Peach.
Dry
If
Bones.
if yeah, I'm just saying. Let's say theoretically this person has Peach. I mean, sorry, they don't have Peach.
They have a
Let's say
driver.
this person theoretically already has a Dry Bones, and then they offload their other two players. You could have Peach double Dry Bones in a Boo, with also the ability to eventually trade that Boo away, or waiver that for something else.
Yep.
I'm not affiliated with the Peaches and Screamers organization, but that is a tantalizing deal if you already own a Dry Bones, which I do not. Live reaction, Colin. Do you have any interest in that deal?
It sounds like a great deal. I just really don't want Peach, man. She's never won anything. And I know 2 Dry Bones is good, but also 2 Dry Bones is boring. And also I have never had any success with a midfield Dry Bones. I don't know why. Whether it's 2 Dry Bones, 1 Dry Bones playing up the field, I don't know what it is. My teams can't play with a midfield Dry Bones.
Well, Hamilton, let's hope someone else takes you up on that, because I think that would be one of the more interesting trades that could happen this season, because I would really like to see what a speed captain can do with double Dry Bones. I mean, we're already seeing Colin operate with what I probably think is, outside of loading up with Dry Bones, the most optimal speed comp, but that could be interesting. Are there any captains that you wouldn't do that for, Hamilton?
I would think about it with one specific captain a little more than I would the rest of the league.
Is that the Did or is that Daisy?
That is the Did.
Yeah.
You want the same captain back and a Monty Mole and a Hammer Brown?
Look, we might be slow, but there might be goals, is what I would say.
Point out that Peach Mega Strike that just happened on the screen.
Was in the gray. Yeah.
Can we go back? I don't know if it was in the gray. I think it was in the yellow. It didn't even make it to the gray.
The fact that we didn't score off this is criminal.
Which, to be fair, if she let it get to the gray, she was getting absolutely laid out. Dry Bones is like his shoulder is inside of her cheek. Look how happy she is. Who wouldn't want to
Happy be
trade
out
for
of the
that?
arena.
I mean,
She gets wings when she mega strikes. She looks cool. She's glowing.
She's got like
She's
a hip hop
basically
theme.
uranium.
I mean, I would argue that, honestly, having the Hammer Row and the Monty is probably more essential to Colin's team almost than the Dry Bones is. But anyway, that is that's for people to think on, and hopefully Hamilton can make some stuff happen for his roster. Segment that we're very much ready for. As I think out loud, does anyone have a shout for Overperformer of the Week?
I gotta give it to Luigi. I don't even know if he was the one who scored them all, but another 9-goal game.
He scored 7.
7 of 9. My bad.
Highest individual impact game. I will say, if I want to look at Luigi for the other 2 games of the week, it's not going to be as favorable. So one impact of 59.6. Then he had a 1.3 and a negative 5.5.
Not important. If you average those 3, it's still high.
It's still very high, which is why Luigi, I believe, is on the impact. He's number 2 in overall impact, and number 3 in goals scored.
I think that this week was kind of a slow week for sidekick carries. I feel like last week we were kind of pinpointing individual sidekicks, but this week I feel like the captains were sort of more dominant, and I know that Colin's probably looking at that and being like, "Oh, Dry Bones number 4." Series went off, but just based off my anecdotal things, I'm gonna give mine to Petey. I think
That's a good shout.
he carried his team. It feels weird to give Overperformer to Petey, but like I said, we picked everyone picked my team to win that series, and Petey definitely willed his team to victory. So I think I'm gonna shout out my former captain.
I would like to give mine to Diddy. I know he's my captain, but he is not a shooting captain, and I'm pulling up the stats. He dropped 7 goals this week. That's, more than we dropped in a single week as a team coming before this. We had never dropped more than 2 goals in a game or 3 goals in a week. And he dropped 7 by himself.
I think that's a good shout, Colin. Looking at the sidekick stat sheets, is there anyone that we can give a shout out to just in the nature of season 2?
Let me see what I can do here.
If you don't have one in 5 seconds, then I can I can announce one.
I haven't done my research on that one yet.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna give it to Fred's Coop. Even though he's the lowest impact player, he got a win. I since I don't have anything for this, I don't know if you guys have any for underperformer. Anyone that we thought was particularly poor this week?
Ritter.
Jaco's critter.
I'm gonna put the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We had the absolute guarantee, all picking him in 2. So all of that team.
Can I put, just to give our third one here, Freddie's team just at Wastelands?
Freddie's team at Wasteland, but also Freddie won, so
that's why it's just at the Wasteland.
Yeah.
His team was really good outside of that one game.
They got smoked 9-1. It's the four worst impact scores of the week.
Yeah.
It was all just Freddie at Wastelands.
Well, I think we did all right there. I think we cooked a little bit. That's pretty good. And just to clarify, that is Fred Chester at Wastelands.
I would also like to clarify that this is not slander. This is underperformer, not worst performer. Because if it was worst, I think my team would be there. No, don't you do this to me. Austin has typed in worst after underperformer to make me look like a villain. I do not need to make enemies in this league. I am my own worst enemy. Until Eric, of course, gifts me PD. Just waiting for that trade to happen.
It's only a matter of time before he realizes he needs to start to feed the Shy Guys, and he needs a speed passing captain.
Yeah.
But let's get into some actual slander. It's tier list time. Which I guess actually a better term for this isn't even necessarily going to be tier list. Um, this is going to be a power rankings. And specifically, I want us to think in terms of the entire season. So basically, this is just a playoff prediction, with way too little data. And so we are going to go conference by conference. And then Hamilton had the genius idea of having them being lined up with their conference counterparts. So we'll get a look at that. But I have them organized where the first 6 here are the MFMK, and then we have the spellcasters coming in second. So we'll do MFMK first, and then spellcasters second. Final record between MFMK and spellcasters was 12-6. Absolutely
That's right,
absurd.
baby. We stole 6.
The two conferences are a mirror image of each other, with one team that is 3-0. Well, sorry, in the MFMK, there's one team that's 3-0, 4 teams that are 2-1, and then one team that is 1-2, and then it's the complete reverse in the spellcasters, where there's one team that's 0-3, 4 teams that are 1-2, and then only a singular team that is 2-1. Absolute domination. And when you look at the captains, it's pretty obvious. So we'll go ahead and get into the MFMK. We'll do typical. Actually, let's, since there's only 3 of us and we're only doing 6 each, I think we can go as a panel through each of these.
Right.
We'll place, and then we can rehash later. But let's just go in the order as they lie, so that way we can't introduce any bias. What are we doing with Did the Kid, and the Colonials? Hamilton, what are your thoughts on this team?
Looking at the board, I say that this team would be, in my mind, I don't know. I think he would be a shoo-in to not be in the bottom in the spellcasters. But looking at the rest of the conference, I just don't know. I'd like to stick him in 5. And I don't know that that's where I think he'll finish, because I'm trying to look at who else is there, and I have skepticism of Diddy's ability to continue to perform. I don't like how I phrased that. I'm sorry. But I just am skeptical of where the goals will continue to come from, and if the current form can continue.
I think 5 is very reasonable. I mean, they've squeaked out 2 wins, which are going to be so valuable.
Yeah.
But beating come on, Mr. Monty's no joke. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of teams, even in the MFMK, would struggle against that team. So I don't think that he deserves to be 6. I also think that, not to compliment someone while they're sitting right here, but I think it is one of the better managed teams in the league. And as Hamilton alluded to earlier, map pick is getting more and more important. And against teams like the team that I'd probably like to put in 6, I think it'll get more essential. But next up we got the big bow. Danny's spread triple option themselves. Does anyone have any qualms with them being anywhere but number 1?
Like qualm.
You qualm?
I qualm. And it's not, we were talking about this a little before we were recording. And it's not that Danny hasn't been the best team. And it's not that I don't think Danny's and Bowser are going to win the MFMK. My issue is that they have played 6 games. They have a goal differential of 7. So they've won 5 1-goal games and 1 2-goal games. And the captains they've played have been Daisy, Peach, and Waluigi, I believe. Is that what we came up with?
Yeah.
which that's 3 speed captains and 5 1-goal games. And to me, that if you are winning in what appears to be a stacked conference, and you play 3 of the 4 worst captains in the league, and you get by with, yes, undefeated, but not any blowouts. I don't know. Things might change when Dan comes up against, he's got Mario this week. Then he's got Luigi. Then he's got Donkey Kong. No, wait, never mind. I don't know. He got a good schedule, but whatever.
Got Mario, then Luigi, then Mario.
He's got Mario. He's got Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong. Then he's got Bowser Jr. and ends with Diddy Kong. So I don't know, but it's not that I still think he should be one. I just wouldn't I wouldn't put my life savings on him.
Where do you think he's finishing in the conference going into playoffs? I'll pass that to him.
I was just gonna say I understand Colin's qualm, and it's while Danny is your number one, you just know he's so much inferior to the spellcaster's number one, and you're just like, we need someone better up there, so that way we can compete. And you don't have that, and it's the insecurity coming out. I understand.
I think my true qualm is that I don't think Danny's number one, but I don't know who to put number one other than him, so I'm gonna put him number one.
Well, it sounds like there is definitely a qualm has been had, but he's sticking it out at number one unless anyone has somewhere else for him to go, which I think is reasonable. Going 3-0, but fair points. I don't think it'll be a surprise if he ends up in 2 or 3. Well, I'd say it'd be a surprise if he ends up at 3, but if he ends up at 2, I don't think it'd be surprising. Going to our number 2 team out of interconference play, it is the Star-Crossed Allies. That is Mr. Mario with his very well-rounded team. Does anyone have any strong opinions on where Garrett's boy should be placed?
I have. This one's hard.
I struggle to not put him in 2 or 3.
I want to put him in 3. I just feel like Bowser Jr. should have done. Or wait, no, Bowser Jr. won, and I guess they should have done worse, but they won.
Just about 2, 3, and 4.
So I kind of want to put him 3, I guess. This is my final answer.
He has played against Daisy, which is a solid Daisy team. Petey, which he beat Petey, and Peach.
I think 3 is fair.
I'm personally cool with 3. Ham.
I'm good with 3. My debate was if he should go up to 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can.
Who did Austin play?
We can come back
Austin
to it.
Beat Jacob. He beat Dave, and he lost to Petey. Because that was who I was arguing for 2. I know he lost, but it was, close series. Is 2-1, but I guess everyone's 2-1.
Which there's a lot of incestuous results where Garrett lost to Daisy. I beat Daisy, and then the reverse happened for PD. Is there any argument for putting Luigi not in 4? Like they're the same team.
My is that while they are the same team, they're not playing like the same team. So far, Garrett has allowed 13 goals across 7 games. In 8 games, Luigi has allowed 30 goals.
He's also scored 31.
He also has scored 31. That is true. But I think we need to stop like lumping them in together when they're not performing like the same team.
Who did the
They
Mighty
did.
Luigi play?
They did have the same like sidekicks down to the even like top mid and bottom mid, but they're just not playing like the same team, and I don't know if I agree with them just by default being lumped in together. When one has a 7 goal differential and is 2-1, and the other is 1-2 with a 1 goal differential and is allowing more goals than anyone.
So the Mighty Luigi
Also has
beat
played
the
more goals
double
than anyone.
Berto Adam team.
He has the most goals on the back of 2 9-goal wasteland
Got
performances.
worked by Mr. Monty, and then lost to Freddy. I'm gonna be real.
Right, who didn't have a win.
That is not a great resume. However, having him 3 positions lower in 6.
Put me at 6 then, and put Luigi at 5.
What about that?
Then we have Bowser Jr. at 6, and that's terrible.
I guess. Are we good just to put me at 2?
Yeah, put you at 2.
Yeah.
I think if that spot's open, I'm going there. What are we doing? What are we doing with the bottom 3 here?
I think Bowser Jr. goes to 4, and you slide Luigi and Diddy Kong down.
I would state that the difference between Lemons 2 and the Mighty Luigi is 2 goals.
So
In terms of what?
Goal differential.
Yes.
I will
It is.
say Lemons 2 lost to Eric, which is now looking like a more reasonable result. Beat
Beat a
Ham in
good
2,
Wario team.
and then beat Wario in 2. I think
Nothing about those results says that should be the 6th place team in this conference.
I would agree.
Yeah, I think that
Versus the team that lost to Freddy.
end of the season.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
If
that's right.
it's so sad that these teams are gonna one of these teams is gonna get relegated.
Not one.
2 of them.
Yeah. I'm not
At
sad.
least 2 of them.
I really hope that Grant ends up in 6. But like I'm saying, like one of these two, like someone's gonna get relegated. It's gonna be really sad. And then I look at the spellcasters. I look at this crap.
Look at that awesomeness.
I personally put my stake that I think the Colonials will finish higher than Mighty Luigi, whether it be 5th and 6th, 4th or 5th, 3rd or 4th, 1st or 2nd. I think it's a better managed team.
We do have the only negative goal difference in the conference.
Yeah. Ham, do you have any? Would you like to put the Mighty Luigi above the Colonials?
No, I'm fine with this.
Okay. Well, let's iron this one in. Freaking auto drafted Lemons too. Oh God. Hamilton, you could have prevented this.
Instead, I have Peach.
All right. Well, we'll use that as a great segue.
Put her in 6. Let's go.
Yep.
Can we speed run this? Can I just
Peach to last. Yes.
go? You want to go
and
off
then
him?
you guys, yeah.
Fred's next.
Freddy is next.
Dave's
And then
next.
Daisy. And then Yoshi. And then Petey.
Ooh.
And then Wario. And
See, this
I
is
think
where
that
we
those
have
last
discussion.
3 are going to have discussion.
I have discussion on the last 2. I'm fine with Yoshi being there.
I think that Adam is paying more attention and trying more than, and Eric at some point will trade away Petey and therefore will not be in the top.
You know, it's not wrong. I mean, if Adam just sits, he ends up top 2.
I do have some inside knowledge.
I also have the inside knowledge. It probably shouldn't be broadcast.
Shouldn't be broadcast until Thursday morning. So
Should I think that I'm gonna turn off desktop audio, Colin, and you can inform Hamilton. The people no longer can hear you, Colin. And I'm just gonna talk live over this so it's not silent. All right, I'm about to turn desktop audio back on. All right, Hamilton now also has the inside knowledge.
hopefully
With
he's
that,
not playing there.
yeah,
Actually, it doesn't matter.
yeah, they are in the same conference actually. More it really had zero impact on.
Oh,
Colin.
he is playing Eric. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah. Regardless, yeah, I agree with the logic that Eric will probably not win based off. I think he'll get bored halfway through the season and do something stupid and probably not end up with PD. So I think that's a fair shout, and part of me even wants to put Yoshi above them.
Because we know he's not making a move.
We have, man, how many well-coached teams are there in the Spellcasters?
Hey, Peach is well coached.
Yeah,
She's just shit.
Daisy's well-coached. Freddy's, decently.
I will say in
coached.
counter argument
Has
to
Freddie
Peach
watched
being
the
well
game
coached, his coach has gotten the roster submission in late in 2 consecutive weeks.
That's true of Peach as well.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about Peach.
Okay. Yeah.
Freddie has to have been watching, considering that, well, I'm assuming that he watched if he made a change, but I don't know. I have not talked to Freddie since the reaction pod from the grand finals.
Yeah. I think that the spellcasters. Let's do some matchups here. Wario versus Bowser. Who you taking?
I'm taking Bowser.
I like the Wario team.
The fact that you said Bowser after the amount we slandered Danny earlier is crazy to me.
Who are you taking, him?
I'm taking Wario.
Okay.
Wario is a known playoff choker, though.
Absolutely. But we're talking regular season. Staying up. DK PD? Can we all just say DK and move on?
PD just won. PD just beat DK.
I'm aware. Can we all just say DK and move on?
No. PD just beat DK.
I don't care.
I mean, I can't argue with results. Are the spellcasters good?
No. I think matchup wise, they might match up decently against their 1v1 counterpart on this
Yoshi
list.
versus Mario?
Low key.
Mario.
I guess I have more faith in Garrett to. I think you can sway the map pool.
I think if all the maps were vanilla, Yoshi takes this.
Yeah.
Yoshi's good on vanilla.
But since not all the maps will be vanilla, I think Garrett will take this.
That is correct. Next one, I think you got to give it to Bowser Jr. just off Captain Diff.
Yeah, I would agree.
Then I beat
the next
Fred
one though.
already.
The next one though.
Not Koopa though. You're getting smoked by your brother.
I don't think there's really a conversation once you get to 4, 5, and 6. I think that's the thing. I think that's the actual difference between MFMK. Is I think the first 3 are all debatable, but 4, 5, 6 is not.
No.
And
the only one that you could maybe make an argument is whoever matches up against Colin, but Colin just happened to have beat Freddy, so we can't make that argument.
Yeah, I think me versus Daisy would be a good matchup.
Agreed.
It'd be close.
So you're telling me we just need to swap Diddy up, Bowser Jr. down, and our rankings would be great.
No, because that's not one of the conferences is just superior, so it makes more sense that actually I don't know. I don't remember what my plan is, but
Well, we'll come back to this once the playoff picture has been cemented, and we'll see how we did. But I think general vibes feel decent. I'm sure that there will be a lot of. I mean, there like teams like the Mighty Luigi could easily fly up. If Hamilton ever ships Peach, I think he's got a good chance. But anyway, capping it off, we got to get to
yeah, we do.
our predictions. Um, let's dive right in. No, it doesn't look like we're gonna get any guest appearance from Garrett.
Don't count him out. It wasn't until about halfway through the Reds last
That's
week that he
true.
showed up.
He still has time. But
To clarify, that's not slander either. Just an observation and a statement.
Also, click in the first cell and then go to the top bar.
that's
That also
Oh no,
don't do that.
I did it.
The one above that, where the words are. There you go.
Click here.
Yeah, were you trying to trim it? That's what I assumed you were trying to.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, yeah. Or I don't know what exactly. Yeah.
There we go. Sure. Nope. Okay. So let's get into Preds. All right. Oh God. Week one of conference play. Adam versus Dave. Disappointing result for Flying Dutchman. I don't think he submitted a form, which doesn't bode well. Last week were these were upsets. They were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still feel like Adam's gonna win. But maybe David figures out a map that he can squeak one out on him. What you got?
It's stealing my predictions. I gotta think that. Yeah. Yeah. Don't guarantee it, please.
I was
Not
gonna
a
do
true
Adam
guarantee.
too.
That's fine. That's fine. As long as it's not a true guarantee.
I think that's
I don't know.
worse.
That roster's just good. I don't know what happened last week. I don't know. Crystal Canyon did some weird things, and then they lost the other one. He needs to do some map work. But I think that roster's good.
We are currently 3-7 on guarantees.
Love it.
Granted, 3 of those or 4 of those came from last week.
So
We're 2. Wait, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for 9. Is that right? I don't know. We're not doing great on guarantees. Reed versus Grant. I'm gonna back the mighty Luigi here. I don't think Grant bans Wasteland. I think he gets worked. Gonna go Reed in 2. I don't like the lemons. Ham.
It's either Reed in 2 or Grant in 3. Like if Grant gets 1, he gets 2 in my mind.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go Grant in 3.
You said Grant in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think
Colin.
Reed is guaranteed that win at Wastelands for the most. It seems like they're scoring 9 goals a game. Does Grant turn it around and win on 2 straight maps? Other than that, I don't know. I'm gonna go Reed in 3.
Much more balanced takes than we were getting than last week.
I'm gonna wait till this one.
Jacob versus Fred. Who the heck did Freddie beat?
Reed.
Reed.
And Jacob has
I don't.
subverted all my optimism in his map selection. I was so high on the kid.
I'll go first. Jacob in 3.
Okay.
Get it
Call,
rolling.
Colin, you want to go?
Take Jacob 2. Fred, you're gonna win. I have been picking him to get one. No longer picking him to get one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jaco just because I think that he's more likely. Like the fact that Jacob's even 1 and 2 at this point is brutal. I think he had a tough out of
Gotta
conference
love a
schedule.
guarantee.
Yep, that is a rough guarantee. Um, I'm gonna pick
Him?
myself. I'm scared if
Colin,
I
I'm
go to
gonna,
3 against you. Your team's got ice. I'm going myself in 2.
Colin, I'm gonna do the best thing I can do for you. I'm gonna pick Austin in 2.
Let's make that Austin in 2 all the way down the board. Come on. Actually, I kind of want. I'm gonna make it 3. I'm gonna make it Austin in 3.
Well, that's good because if I do that, then your name disappears. So the yellow highlight is better than the orange.
I just don't want my name to disappear.
Yep.
I think the boys might be able to steal one. I haven't figured out what map I'm going to yet, but
I'm
I
going
should figure
Garrett
that out.
here.
Ooh.
I'm just making my picks out of spite, honestly. I'm not. There's no predictive power. If he does it, it's in 3. It's gonna be a tough fought series, but I think it's a
I'm,
much better team.
I'm gonna go the other way. Dan in 3. I think they're gonna be close, but I think he's gonna get the job done. Bowser is good.
That's really true. Colin?
It's my turn to pick. I'm taking Garrett in 3.
Sorry, Garrett. My bad on ruining the guarantee.
He's probably ecstatic about that. Speaking of guarantees,
Yeah. Let me
Yeah,
run this.
put it down. Get that orange highlighter out.
how many games?
2.
2.
So if you pick up Boo, and you can't even
Don't
trade
you
the
already
Boo this
have a
week, can
Boo?
you?
No. I also don't anticipate getting a trade by the end of the day tomorrow.
Um, but if you pick up Boo, who's on your team?
Are you dropping a Birdo? Do you already have that roster? I guess you had a.
Different Boo.
Yeah, two.
What a state
I think
Hamilton's in.
I think I said 2 already, but if I did say 2. I wanted it to be known that I did ask Eric if he would trade me. I misspelled Petey to be Perry and said Dry Bones, Boo, and Peach for Perry. And he said, no blasphemy, you can give me Boo and Dry Bones for 2 Shy Guys. Which is hilarious to me, because didn't he drop? No, Freddie dropped the Boo. I thought he dropped the Boo. I was like, that's crazy.
That would be the greatest trade actually ever solidified. There'd be no reason for you to ever do that other than desperation. But imagine if he turned his 2 Shy Guys into, what was that, a Boo and a Dry Bones?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. What do you do, Hamilton?
Just prep for relegation. Figure out which captain would draft next year. Knowing that we probably won't have a lottery pick because we won't win the toilet bowl. It'll be a good time.
All I will say is, just like last season, where the issues with our format were made clear very quickly, the issues with the current format also have been made clear, and I'm excited for season 2 because captain strength will be slightly less of a determining factor, which will be exciting. So
I
You said
wanna
season 2, and I think you might have meant season 3.
I'm excited for next season.
I want to make a slight rule change announcement that we probably should have done at the beginning regarding waiver wires. For the one person who listens to this, it used to be just reverse standings. It is now reverse standings, but if you pick up a player in the following week, you have a 4-slot penalty, which decreases by 1 slot each week since your last waiver wire pickup.
Yep. So you got to think about when and
Which
where you want to
stacks.
make changes.
I do currently have it stacking, so if you picked up a player in back-to-back weeks, you'd have a 7-slot penalty. But also, the top teams aren't really making waiver wire pickups, so it's not as big of a penalty.
Yep. Yeah, we should send out an announcement about that, or we just leave it secretive to the.
That one's looking at it. No, we
Yeah.
haven't had more than one waiver pickup a week anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we are in the boo sweepstakes. But yeah, that's a wrap for week 3. We enter intra conference play. Shouts out to the Mushroom Kingdom, the Red Kingdom. Anyone else have any parting wisdom?
Reach out about trades.
Bro, like, oh my god. There are some people who should be thinking about that. But anyway, that's a wrap. Peace. See y'all this weekend.